What's up, guys? Welcome back to Rip City Rundown. We've got Sweet 16 game number 3 between Tennessee and Florida Atlantic, the 4 versus the 9, in the Mecca, Madison Square Garden at 9 o'clock on Thursday night. And honestly, this is another game I did not see happening at this point in my bracket. I had Purdue versus Duke. Purdue, obviously, don't even want to talk about them. Unbelievably atrocious showing against Fairleigh Dickinson. Shout out Fairleigh Dickinson. Duke, on the other hand, just got outplayed by Tennessee. Tennessee played a really good game, but I think this is going to be an interesting game. I do think I do have a good read on Florida Atlantic. Obviously, I've watched their two games so far in the tournament, and then I also did see them in person one game, so there's that for you guys. But we'll talk Tennessee first. They barely squeezed by Louisiana in the first round, 58-55, and then they beat Duke pretty handily in the second half to win 65-52 in that one. And they're winning these games by defense right now. I mean, holding their two opponents to 55 and 52 points respectively. That's defense for you guys. They're only averaging giving up 53 points per game on defense on the season compared to FAU 67. I think that's a very, very interesting stat for this game. Offensively, however, they're led by Vescovi, their point guard. Obviously, Ziegler's out with that injury, but I think they've played enough without him to have gotten a rhythm, kind of started to gel without him. Vescovi in that game against Duke, he hit 4 threes. But then, honestly, it was the forward. I really don't want to mispronounce his name, but Nakamawa? I really don't know how to pronounce his name, but he had 27 against Duke. He was a beast down low. Only had 8 points in the first game, but they kept feeding him. He ended up 3 of 4 from 3 in that game, 10 of 13 from the field. But it's honestly, you can't really talk about individual players when it comes to Tennessee. It's really just that team defense that stifles those opponents all the time. I think it's more so their coach, Rick Barnes. I trust their coach. He's a great coach. He's led multiple teams in deep runs in the tournament before. There's a reason why they're a 5-point favorite in this game. And there's a reason why they were a 4 seed. I think they were a doubted 4 seed because of the Ziegler injury. But they've proven that obviously they would love to have him, but they don't rely on him too much. They made the Sweet 16. And they arguably have a chance to make it to the Final Four this year. So we'll talk about their opponent, and then I'll give my pick for the game. Florida Atlantic takes down Memphis. Honestly, they shouldn't have even won that game if you were watching that game. Memphis didn't get awarded a timeout when they were up by 1, but it happens. They end up getting a buzzer beater by Nick Boyd to win that game 66-65, and then they end up beating Fairleigh Dickinson in an absolute battle, 78-70. Janelle Davis, what a game from him. Honestly, one of the better performances of the tournament. He had 29 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals. He's one of those guys, when I saw him in person, he played pretty well in the game I saw. But I look at other players on this team, like a Nick Boyd, like a Greenlee. They sometimes tend to shoot them out the game. They're kind of inconsistent shooters from deep. Nick Boyd, 1 of 7 from 3 in this most recent game. I don't think FAU, despite them being 33-3, I don't think they're too consistent offensively, and then they clearly don't have a good enough defense to match Tennessee's defensive intensity. I think they're going to have to make tough shots and have to knock down their open threes if they want a chance to beat Tennessee. So I also want to touch a point that I think a lot of people are going to be rooting for Tennessee in this game because of the way that Fairleigh Dickinson game ended. I don't have an opinion on if you should dunk at the end of games. Obviously, he tried. He missed the guy on FAU. Clearly, no one liked it. Clearly, everyone was also rooting for FDU. So you could be seeing the whole world root for Tennessee in this game. Taking that out of the equation, taking biases aside, it's March. Every game can be really close. But I think Tennessee wins this game by double digits. The line is 5. I would take Tennessee -5. I think they win this game in similar fashion to the Duke game. It's going to stay within reach the whole game, but I think Tennessee will outlast this team. Florida Atlantic, again, they're 33-3. They have played no one this year. They've played no one. The best team they beat, other than Memphis in the tournament, they even got to play Fairleigh Dickinson. They haven't even played a good team in the tournament, arguably. Memphis, they're pretty good. But the best win they have on the season is Florida, other than anything in conference play, when you could say, I guess, North Texas. But this team has played absolutely nobody. So, again, this is March, and you don't have to play anybody to make a run in the tournament. But I think Tennessee is more of a stout roster. I think Florida Atlantic absolutely can keep this game close and absolutely can win. Like I said, I keep reiterating it. It is March. But if I had to put my head to a pick, give me Tennessee to win the game and give me Tennessee -5. So I think Tennessee moves on to face most likely Kansas State in the Elite Eight.